Hello, everyone. Welcome to Off the Charts, episode 130. Sort of shaven. This is just my. Don't worry, the beard will come back. Just a spring cleaning, I guess. So, before we start off, if you like this type of content, please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Hit that like button. And cheers to you all. There we go. So, today I'll be doing a revisiting the Kiss solo albums. Now, before you're like, oh, here we go, Dan with one of his Kiss episodes. Bear with me, there's some really interesting stuff coming up here regarding this. So, my first episode ever was a ranking of the Kiss albums, minus the live and the solo albums here. So, I'm just going to talk about them. I'm not going to say I'm going to rank them there. I'll just tell you which ones I like there. You might be surprised with my favorite, but there's a reason for that. So I'm going to talk about them here. And like I said, there's a reason I want to talk about this here. Main one is, and my friend Steph told me this, not the Motley Crue Steph, but concert Steffi, where I'm not sure if you guys knew, but in 1978, all four solo albums went platinum. And I was like, all right, here we go, another platinum album. But because of these four solo albums, and also apparently to blame is Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles. So back then, to qualify for gold or platinum records, it was not based on sales. Well, to a point, yes, it was based on sales, but it was, oh my god, Kiss is a hot commodity, let's everybody order a whole bunch of albums. And sure enough, everybody ordered so many albums that each went platinum the day of release or whatever. But the thing is, they ordered so many that word of mouth got out. Some were good, some were bad, and they were all stuck with a whole bunch of Peter Criss solo albums and maybe even Gene Simmons. I don't know the whole who was left behind there, but so stores were like, shit, we're like stuck with a whole bunch of albums here. So it went platinum just by orders. So that's when the rule changed. And same thing with Sgt. Pepper's. You know, they ordered 6 million and they only sold 2 million apparently. So happens to the best bands too, not just my favorite band. So after that, the rule changed for how an album becomes platinum. It's no longer on shipping orders. It was, you could order as many as you want, but there was a 128 day maybe, or 130 day until the gold platinum status was calculated. So I guess stores were a little more wary after that. So thank you, Kiss and the Beatles, for changing the RIAA certification for records back then. So that's one thing here. So I'll talk about the albums here. I'm going to go alphabetically by their last name, just to make it fair, so I'm not picking sides here. So first one would be Peter Criss. So this is the solo album. By the way, the solo albums came out after Kiss Alive 2, you know. Depends, again, who you ask. This is what I fucking hate about Kiss, is you ask 4 different guys what happened, and they'll give you 4 different stories. Some say, okay, we wanted to quit the band, so everybody says, well, let's make a solo album each, you know, away from each other, and I guess that's the story. I don't know. But anyway, so all these 4 albums came out at the same time, which for them is a great move. For stores, not so much. They're all dedicated to, Peter's the only one who dedicated to Ace, Paul, and Gene, and Michael Benvenga. I don't even know who this guy is. So Peter Criss. Easily my least favorite of the four, and I think the whole world will agree with me on this one here. I mean, as a kid, I inherited a whole four records from my neighbor, and these four records were it there. But again, more to come on that later. As a kid, how old was I here? So 1978. I must have been 6, 7. Yeah, I was probably 8 by the time I started listening to these albums here. Because let's give a year or two to my neighbor to get tired of these ones here. So anyway, he gave me a whole bunch of Kiss records, and You Matter to Me is decent. Toss and Turn it's that Toss and Turn. I remember liking That's the Kind of Sugar Papa Likes because it kind of rocked a little bit more than the others. But you know what? And I think that was a single for was Toss and Turn for this one. But you know what? There's one song I really like on this one here, and it's the last song, the ballad, I Can't Stop the Rain. It's that good of a song to me when I say it's actually fucking much better than Beth. Like, I love I Can't Stop the Rain. That's easily the best song on this album here. But this album is also the reason why they had to change, or one of the reasons I should say, where they had to change that certification for the RIAA, because everybody was telling, you know what, if you're going to get any of those solo albums, like, get every one of them, just leave this one to the last one here. It's so far from the Kiss music, like it's old 1950s hard rock. Apparently these songs were written for Peter's old band from 1971 called Lips, which I actually learned that today while researching for this year. It's just not, if you're looking for something that resembles Kiss, this is not it at all. But I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I Can't Stop the Rain is a brilliant ballad. Easily my favorite on this album. So Kiss, Peter Criss solo album. My least favorite. Now comes the next three, which I actually like a lot, all three of them. So next up, Ace Frehley. If you ask any non-Kiss fan or guitar fans, this is easily people's favorite because it was the biggest surprise. Frehley used to either sing, at that point he only sang the one song off Love Gun, which was Shock Me. So people were actually very pleasantly surprised to hear this album. And this, you know what, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. This album fucking rocks from A to Z. From Rip It Out, great. Speeding Back to My Baby, great. Snowblind, a little trippy, good stuff there. Ozone, I like that one song. What's on Your Mind's probably my least favorite, but it's still a very good song. New York Groove. I have to tell you guys a little story. So if you guys know my collection, everything is alphabetical and a certain way. And anyway. So back then I used to have CDs, and my mom, rest in peace, loved the song New York Groove, which was a Russ Ballard cover. But when I say she freaking loved this song, so I was working at Loeb at the time, come back home, and I'm looking at my CDs, and they're placed differently, and I'll get to the story here. So I'm looking at my CDs. They're all placed differently up until Ace Frehley. So I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? And it's later that she told me, she literally took out each of my CDs, put in the CD player, pressed every song until she found New York Groove. So, but she placed them upside down or something. That's how I figured out what she did here. So she literally went through the first three Kiss, then Alive, the other three, Kiss Alive 2. Then I probably, at the time, I was Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. So she went through all of those, pressed the first song. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Until she found, and you could see the rest of the CDs after the Kiss or Ace Frehley were all in perfect order because she hadn't bothered to touch them because she found her song. So, yes, when I say my mom loves this song, it's yeah, she loves that song here. So I'll always remember that story forever and ever. So this one, I like it a lot. Is it my favorite? No, and I'll tell you why. But this is probably, I would say, maybe not my favorite, but is the biggest surprise of all four. I don't think anybody was expecting something that good, that rockin', and that's when people will start saying, Ace Frehley is the secret weapon of Kiss. So, I'm in Need of Love is good. Wiped Out is a little weird. I used to make fun of that. And Fractured Mirror was the instrumental. That one led to how many other fractured. They're great songs. I just can't. Like, if you tell me, I know it's one's called Fractured Mirror, Fractured 2, TOO, Fractured 3, it's with like Roman numerals, and Fractured Quantum. I could probably sing you. Well, they're all instrumentals. I could probably, but the other three, they're so. I can't tell you. I can't associate. I know how they go in my head, but I can't tell you which title goes to which song. If that makes any sense. So anyway, that's Ace Frehley, considered by most to be the best one. Not my favorite. Next up, Gene Simmons. This one, okay, before I start talking about this one, I'm going to tell you right now, this is my favorite of the four. Now, before you all go like, what the fuck, this is considered by a lot one of the worst. Let's travel back in time to, again, my neighbor. Before I got those 4 records, he had given me 2 cassettes. Those were the first 2 cassettes I ever got in my life. So it was the Gene Simmons solo album and the Ace Frehley solo album. I'm not sure why I didn't connect with the Ace Frehley album, but the Gene Simmons solo album, I connected right away, except for one song, and I'll tell 2 to a point. I think we all know which one I'm gonna. But there's one song I don't like. But a lot of people think, oh, there's too many guests, too much fluff and all that. You know what? To me, this is the exact perfect definition of a solo album. Stay true to yourself, but from time to time, go out there and do something inventive or different. This is different, but there's a lot of Kiss-ness to this album too. Starts off with Radioactive, which is a friggin' great rockin' tune. Burning Up with Fever, which is good. See You Tonight was, I would say it's probably Gene's best ballad-ish song. Tunnel of Love, I still remember one of my teachers in high school, and I think I had this, I get the cassette or the CD at the time, and in the hallway, and he looks at this and goes, oh yeah, Gene Simmons, Tunnel of Love. I wonder what he was talking about. So teacher telling you about this here. True Confessions is decent. Living in Sin. So, funny story. I used to, like I said, I love this album here. Living in Sin, we had to do back in grade 6 or... Yeah, we had to make our own instrument. I might have told a story on my channel before, but I'm saying it again. We had to do... we had build our own instruments. So one guy had, water bottles with water. I had a drum kit, but it was like those white paint things, like buckets there anyway, upside down. So they all sounded the same because there was no... One guy made literally a bass guitar with elastics. Anyway, so I somehow convinced my friends we were going to do Living in Sin by Gene Simmons. And the only thing I worked on was I told one of my friends, call me and I'm going to record the phone call. if you actually know the song "Living in Sin," when there's a phone call in it, so I got my friends to, okay, call me right now, and I'm gonna press record, and then I got the phone ringing back. This is back in 1983 ish, I guess. So anyway, the song, we started playing the song. I was so proud just having recorded that phone call. We didn't work on the rest of the song. So anyway, uh, that never happened. I'm not gonna tell you what the other song was, but it just it rhymed with Old MacDonald had a store. Anyway, so but anyway, I listened, like, yeah, always near you, know where to hide. You know what? I love that one too. Man of a Thousand Faces. Man, did I ever love the orchestration on that song. Mr. Make Believe is probably the only song I don't like on this album. See You in Your Dreams, I prefer this version than on the version on Rock and Roll Over. When You Wish Upon a Star, yeah, it's that song. Love it or hate it. But I listened so much to this album because, like I said, it was the first thing I ever listened to in my life. Well, not my life there, like, but that was mine. I was given this Gene Simmons, but somehow I connected to this one. Maybe the makeup, I don't know. But I listened to this over and over. And back then, Man of a Thousand Faces was probably my favorite because I just loved the orchestration on this here. But anyway, some people don't like this album. Some people are 50-50. Some are like, that's fine. I'm just telling you why I liked it that much. So, Kiss, Gene Simmons, probably my favorite. No, easily my favorite. Lots and lots of guest star. And when I say guest stars, there's, oh my God, like, wasn't Joe Perry? Yeah. Bob Seger, Joe Perry, Helen Reddy, Jeff Skunk Baxter, that's from the Doobie Brothers, Donna Summer, Janice, Rick Nielsen, Cher, Michael DeBars. Anyway, a whole bunch of... he went all out to make a solo record. To me, was mission accomplished. Is it Kiss? Half of it is, half of it isn't. So, anyway, this is Kiss Gene Simmons solo album. And last one. Again, I'm going alphabetically. Nothing... Paul Stanley. The reason it's not my favorite is because this is exactly a Kiss album. There's nothing wow. Like Ace Frehley's had, nobody was expecting that much of a good album. Gene Simmons, he made a solo album. More power to him. Paul didn't really veer, like he what you had in his Kiss songs is what you have on his solo albums. And I'm not dissing it. They're great. This is a great album. It's just nothing. No, oh, cool. Like, well, there's a cool. I'm going to get to that there. Tonight You Belong to Me, which apparently a lot of people find is one of their favorite songs. I find it's good. Move On is a funny lyric there. Ain't Quite Right, probably my least favorite of the album. Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? What an unforgotten gem. This is such a great song. Take Me Away, Together as One is probably my favorite of this album. One of my two favorites, anyway. Man, do I love the mood of that song. Ugh. Ow. Yeah, I love the mood. I could listen to that song over and over. Hold Me, Touch Me. Yeah. Love and Chains is a friggin' heavy song. Great songs. Probably my second favorite, if not tied with Take Me Away, Together as One. And Goodbye, another great song too. But yeah, it's a very good album. But if you're looking for, I don't know, something different, you're not gonna get it. This is, I guess, maybe what Kiss should have been doing the next album, I guess. I don't know. It's a good album too. I love it. But nothing really... Wow, you really went outside the box for that one. You know what I mean there? Like, I think Gene Simmons went outside of the box. This one he just kept it safe, or maybe that's all he knows how to compose. I don't know. But again, don't let this, like, this is actually a very good solo album. Like, there are great songs on this. But again, anyway, I'm giving you the reasons why, or why I liked certain albums, why I didn't like certain albums. But the most important thing is these 4 albums, believe it or not, changed the way records are graded, or like the RIAA certification. That changed a big thing in the music industry. So thank you, Kiss, for making a great move for yourselves, but a bad move for music stores. But anyway, so that's just my take on the solo albums. I know I haven't met that one person yet that says Peter Criss is their favorite solo album. I haven't met that guy yet. But the other 3 is always a toss-up. I find a lot of guitar players or non-Kiss members often find Ace Frehley's to be better. A lot of people who like Kiss and want to stay that way, like Paul Stanley. Those 2 are usually most popular. I know I'm in the minority when I say I like the Gene Simmons solo album more. I know that. I understand that. But again, a little kid who only had 2 cassettes under his name at the time was Gene Simmons and Gene Simmons and Ace Frehley. I connected with the Gene Simmons one for some reason, and I've loved it since. That was the first thing I ever listened to, pretty much. So there you go. That's my story of the solo albums. But like I said, I wanted to tell you guys about the RIAA certification also. So on that note, thanks for tolerating this episode. Another Kiss episode. I don't know if there's going to be other Kiss episodes there. We'll see. Well, there's going to be one in November. If you guys know what I'm talking about, you'll know. So on that note, I'd like to thank you guys for watching and subscribing. And please click that like button. And we shall see you guys next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.